They kicked out a guy who looked too average for their fancy restaurant. Big mistake. Turns out he wasn't just another guest. He owned the place. But the real twist? He wasn't done yet. Let's just say, by the end of it, someone's career was hanging by a thread. Friday night in downtown Los Angeles is like a glittering battlefield. Bright neon signs, honking horns, and streets packed with people dressed to impress. Among the chaos sits La Creme, the crown jewel of fine dining in the area. This restaurant isn't just a place to eat, it's a shrine to exclusivity. The kind of place where the salad costs more than your car payment, and everyone pretends they're not secretly Googling how to pronounce foie gras. Inside, Greg Vines, the 37-year-old manager, is on a mission to remind everyone why they should both fear and loathe him. Greg is the type of guy who walks into a room and assumes the world owes him a standing ovation. Tonight, his mood is even more sour than usual. His boss shot down his latest brilliant idea for a revamped wine list, and half the staff decided punctuality was optional. In Greg's mind, the night couldn't possibly get worse. Spoiler, he was wrong. Cue the entrance. Through the sleek glass doors walks none other than Keanu Reeves. Yes, that Keanu Reeves. But if you're expecting him to make a grand entrance, think again. Keanu's vibe is effortlessly chill. Dark jeans, a black t-shirt, and a leather jacket that looks like it's seen more adventures than the average tourist in LA. He moves with the kind of quiet confidence that makes people double take. But here's the kicker. Nobody recognizes him. Not a single person. Greg, ever the hawk-eyed gatekeeper of standards, spots Keanu immediately. Like a predator zeroing in on what he assumes is an easy target, Greg approaches with a tight-lipped smile that practically screams, "You don't belong here." "Excuse me, sir," Greg starts, his tone dripping with manufactured politeness. "But we're fully booked tonight." Keanu looks up, his expression calm, almost amused. "I understand. But maybe there's room for one more?" Greg gives him the once-over, his eyes practically shouting, "You can't afford to breathe in here, let alone eat." To Greg, Keanu is just another random guy who wandered in off the street, hoping to bask in the glow of wealth and power. And Greg, he lives to squash those hopes. "Sir," Greg says, his fake smile widening to the point of absurdity. "This establishment caters to a very exclusive clientele. Perhaps somewhere else would be more appropriate?" Keanu, still unfazed, offers a slight nod. "I'm okay waiting." That's when Greg's patience officially runs out. He gestures sharply to the security guard lingering near the bar. "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Your presence is unsettling to our guests." The room goes uncomfortably silent. Waitstaff pause mid-step, and a few patrons glance over, intrigued by the brewing tension. Keanu stands, his movements measured, his face betraying not a hint of anger. With a polite smile, he says, "As you wish," and walks toward the door. One of the younger waiters, a guy barely out of his teens, whispers to Greg as Keanu steps outside, "Dude, that's Keanu Reeves, like John Wick Keanu Reeves." Greg doesn't even flinch. "And? He's still a nobody here." The waiter just shakes his head, muttering under his breath. Meanwhile, Greg congratulates himself on a job well done. He has no idea the storm he's just invited into his perfectly curated kingdom. Because the thing about storms? They don't knock before they blow the doors off. The next morning at La Creme, the air was electric. The restaurant wasn't even open yet, but the staff buzzed with energy, like someone had plugged them into an amplifier. Yesterday's scene with Keanu Reeves had turned into the hottest gossip of the decade, for the employees at least. In the kitchen, Emma, a 22-year-old server with a loud mouth and an even louder personality, had practically made it her mission to educate the clueless staff on the magnitude of Greg's blunder. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, looking like she was about to deliver a TED Talk. "Do you even realize who he is?" Emma said, her voice dripping with disbelief. "That was Keanu freaking Reeves. The man is a legend. John Wick? Neo? Ever heard of them?" Tyler, a waiter notorious for his cluelessness, shrugged. "I thought he looked familiar. Isn't he the dude from that surfing movie?" Emma nearly dropped her coffee. "Oh my gosh, Tyler. That's like saying the Eiffel Tower is just a metal thing. He's an icon. And Greg? That guy wouldn't recognize greatness if it slapped him in the face with a reservation card." At that exact moment, Greg strutted in, coffee mug in hand, radiating the kind of arrogance that only comes from complete ignorance. He caught the tail end of Emma's rant and raised an eyebrow. "Emma," Greg said, his tone condescending enough to curdle milk, "are you done educating the staff on irrelevant topics, or should I schedule a seminar?" Emma didn't flinch. "Greg, you kicked out Keanu Reeves. Do you have any idea how bad that looks?" Greg took a slow sip of his coffee, savoring the moment like he was in a commercial for smugness. If he wants to dine here, he can book a table, like everyone else. Emma's eyes narrowed. "And how long do you think you'll keep this job with that attitude?" The room went silent. Even Tyler stopped scrolling through his phone. But before anyone could process Emma's jab, the glass doors at the front of the restaurant swung open. And there he was. Keanu Reeves walked in, this time wearing a tailored blazer over his usual casual attire. He still exuded that effortless cool, but now there was something sharper about him, like he meant business. The chatter among the staff died instantly. Emma's jaw dropped, and she almost knocked over a tray of glasses in her rush to greet him. "Hi, Mr. Reeves. Welcome back," she said, practically vibrating with excitement. Keanu gave her a warm smile. "Thank you. It's nice to see you again." Emma turned to Greg, smirking as if to say, "Your move, buddy." But Greg wasn't about to back down. He stormed over, his expression a mix of irritation and fake professionalism. "Sir, I thought I made it clear yesterday that you're not welcome here." Keanu tilted his head slightly, meeting Greg's gaze with calm precision. "And I thought I made it clear that I'd like to speak with the owner." Greg snorted. "The owner? He's far too busy to deal with this." He waved his hand vaguely, as if trying to dismiss Keanu's entire existence. Keanu nodded thoughtfully. "All right then," he said, "but I think he'd be interested to know how his guests are being treated." Greg rolled his eyes, muttering something under his breath before gesturing toward the security guard. "Escort him out. Again." The guard hesitated, glancing at Emma, who was giving him a death glare. "Seriously?" she whispered to him. "You're gonna kick him out? Again? Do you even like your job?" The guard sighed, but moved toward Keanu anyway. With a polite nod, Keanu turned to leave, as composed as ever, but this time there was an undeniable tension in the air, like the moment before a storm. As the doors closed behind him, Emma leaned over to the guard and whispered, "That guy knows something. I don't know what, but trust me, he's not done." And for the first time that day, Greg felt a flicker of doubt. It was supposed to be another typical day at La Creme, the kind of day where Greg could lord over his staff and revel in his self-proclaimed authority. But by noon, the restaurant was a beehive of chaos. The reason? 3 sleek black limousines pulled up outside, commanding the kind of attention that usually only celebrities or major power players could bring. From the cars emerged a small army of people in sharp, tailored suits. The kind of people who looked like they lived on coffee and ruled boardrooms. And right in the center of it all, Keanu Reeves, his calm presence somehow louder than the suits flanking him. This wasn't the casually dressed, low-key guy Greg had dismissed twice. No, this Keanu looked like he had stepped out of an action movie, focused, unshakable, and very much in control. The staff froze. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that him again? Dude, I think he brought lawyers. What is even happening right now?" In the middle of the chaos, Emma was practically glowing with excitement. She leaned against the bar, whispering to Tyler, "I told you he wasn't done. That guy is playing chess, while Greg's out here with checkers." Greg, however, wasn't so confident. He spotted the group from his perch near the manager's office and immediately started sweating. "What the heck is this?" he muttered, gripping his coffee mug like it was a lifeline. He ducked into his office, hoping to ride out the storm in hiding, but his plan failed spectacularly. Within minutes, Jennifer Grace, a 45-year-old powerhouse attorney with a no-nonsense demeanor, was standing in his doorway. She didn't knock, she didn't hesitate. She just walked in like she owned the place, which technically her client did. "Good afternoon, Mr. Vines," Jennifer began, her tone icy but professional. "Sorry for the interruption, but my client has every right to be here, and we're here to make sure that's understood," Greg stammered, his usual arrogance nowhere to be found. I didn't realize." Keanu, who had been standing just behind Jennifer, stepped into the office. His expression was calm, but his words cut through the room like a knife. "You realized," he said softly, locking eyes with Greg. "You just didn't care." Jennifer, ever the professional, placed a thick folder on Greg's desk. "For your reference," she said, tapping the cover, "this document outlines the full ownership details of La Creme. Mr. Reeves is the sole proprietor." Greg's face went pale. He opened his mouth to say something, anything, but no words came out. Keanu, with a small, almost kind smile, stepped forward. "Now," he said, his voice steady, "how about that table?" The silence in the restaurant was deafening as Keanu and Jennifer walked back into the dining area. Greg remained frozen in his office, clutching his coffee mug like it might save him. Meanwhile, the staff struggled to contain their reactions. Emma had to duck behind the bar to muffle her laughter. Tyler looked like he was about to faint. Keanu took a seat at the best table in the house, the one usually reserved for celebrities and high-profile clients. Jennifer joined him, flipping through her notes like this was just another day at the office. Greg eventually stumbled out of his office, looking more like a ghost than a manager. He avoided eye contact with everyone as he quietly signaled the kitchen to prepare a meal for the restaurant's real owner. As plates were served and the tension finally began to fade, Emma leaned over to Tyler, whispering, "I think Greg's career just went up in flames. Can't say I'm sad about it." And as Keanu enjoyed his meal, the entire restaurant buzzed with an unspoken understanding. Greg's reign of terror was over, and they'd all just witnessed one of the most legendary power moves in La Creme's history. What would you have done in Keanu's place? Have you or your friends faced something similar? Share your thoughts in the comments, and spread the word. This story highlights the importance of kindness and respect to make the world a better place. Your opinion matters,